You're standing in a room full of laughter. The air smells like champagne and roses. Crystal glasses catch the light like broken promises learning to shine again. 40 years. 40 years of waking up next to the same person, of shared coffee and silent mornings, of building a life brick by careful brick. Everyone you love is here, your children, grown now with lines around their eyes that mirror your own. Your grandchildren chase each other between tables, their squeals puncturing the elegant hum of conversation. The music is soft, the lighting is warm, everything is perfect. And then he stands. Your husband, the man whose hand you've held through funerals and births, through job losses and midnight fears. He's wearing the blue tie you picked out. His hair has gone silver at the temples, distinguished, the way you always told him it would. He raises his glass, and the room quiets like a held breath. Everyone turns, everyone smiles. This is the moment, the speech, the toast, the beautiful words that will make your daughter cry and your son clear his throat and look away. He looks at you. His eyes are clear, his smile is gentle. And he says, "This toast is for my real wife." The words land like stones in still water. You watch the ripples spread across faces, confusion, uncertain laughter, the beginning of something cold. You feel your own smile freeze, a mask that suddenly weighs too much. Real wife. The words echo, real wife. You try to understand them, to bend them into a joke you somehow missed the setup for. But before you can speak, before you can ask what he means, before you can do anything but stand there with your heart starting to hammer against your ribs, the door opens. She walks in. You've never seen her before. But somehow, impossibly, you recognize her. She's wearing a dress that matches the color scheme you spent weeks choosing. Her hair is done the way you wore yours in the wedding photos tucked away in your attic. She's younger than you, not by much, but enough. Enough that her skin still has that firmness, that glow. She walks through your anniversary party like she belongs there, like she's been waiting for this moment, like she was always meant to arrive. And your husband, the man you've loved for 40 years, smiles at her the way he used to smile at you. You don't scream. You don't cry. Not yet. Because your brain is still trying to make sense of this, still trying to fit these pieces into a picture that doesn't destroy everything you thought was real. The room is silent now. Even the children have stopped running. Everyone is watching. Everyone is waiting for someone to explain how this makes sense. She walks to his side. He puts his arm around her, and that's when you understand. This isn't a joke. This isn't a mistake. This isn't a nightmare you're about to wake up from. This is happening. Your name is Margaret. You're 63 years old. And you thought pain was something that came in waves, car accidents and cancer diagnoses and phone calls in the middle of the night telling you someone you loved was gone. You thought pain was something you could see coming, something you could brace yourself for, something that at least had the decency to announce itself before it tore your world apart. You were wrong. Before that night, life was quiet. Not perfect. You'd learned decades ago that perfect was a fairy tale, something to stop believing in, right around the same time you realized your parents were just people, flawed and frightened and doing their best. But it was good. Solid. The kind of life that felt earned, built through years of compromise and patience, and choosing each other even when choosing each other was hard. You met David when you were 22. He was 24, fresh out of graduate school with big dreams about changing the world through architecture. You were working as a secretary at the firm where he got his first job, saving money for night classes, trying to figure out what you wanted to be. He noticed you on a Tuesday, brought you coffee on a Wednesday, asked you to dinner on a Thursday. By Friday, you knew. You just knew. People talk about love at first sight like it's magic, like it's lightning striking or angels singing or some other impossible thing. But it wasn't like that. It was quieter. It was looking at him across that coffee-stained desk and thinking, "Oh, there you are. I've been waiting for you." It was the way he listened when you talked, really listened, like your words mattered more than his own thoughts. It was the way he laughed at your jokes even when they weren't funny, and the way he held your hand in the movie theater, and the way he kissed you goodnight like he was afraid you might disappear if he didn't memorize the moment. You got married 6 months later, small wedding, your mother cried. His father gave a toast about young love and foolish hope, and everyone laughed, but there was affection in it, warmth. You wore a simple white dress you found on sale. He wore a suit his brother lent him. The pictures are faded now, but you can still remember how the light looked that day, golden and forgiving, like the world was blessing what you were about to become. The early years were hard, money was tight. You lived in a tiny apartment where the heat never worked right, and the neighbors fought at 3 in the morning, and you had to stuff towels under the door to keep the cockroaches out. But you were happy. God, you were happy. You'd make dinner out of whatever was cheapest at the store, pasta and canned sauce, rice and beans, eggs scrambled with whatever vegetables were about to go bad. You'd eat on the couch because you didn't have a table. You'd watch old movies on the little television his aunt gave you as a wedding present. You'd fall asleep tangled together, and in the morning you'd wake up to find him watching you, and he'd say, "Good morning, beautiful," and you'd believe him. The children came. First, Michael, with David's dark hair and your stubborn chin. Then, 3 years later, Sarah, who looked like neither of you but somehow exactly like both of you at once. The apartment got smaller. David worked longer hours. You stopped taking night classes, someone had to be home with the babies, and childcare cost more than you'd make anyway. It wasn't what you'd planned. But you told yourself it was temporary. You told yourself there would be time later for your dreams. And there was love. So much love it felt like drowning sometimes, like your heart couldn't possibly hold this much feeling without cracking open. You'd watch David with the kids, watch him build block towers with Michael, watch him let Sarah paint his nails bright purple, and you'd think, this is what matters. This is what real looks like. The years folded into each other. Michael started school. Sarah learned to read. David's career took off, better job, better money, a house in the suburbs with a yard and a garage and bedrooms for everyone. You decorated carefully, choosing colors and furniture that would make it feel like home. You planted a garden. You joined the PTA. You made friends with the neighbors, went to book club, volunteered at the library. Life became routine, comfortable, the kind of comfortable that feels safe, that feels like you've finally figured out the secret everyone else already knew. Wake up, make breakfast, pack lunches, drive to soccer practice, help with homework, make dinner, watch television, go to bed, do it again tomorrow. David traveled sometimes for work. You'd miss him, but you'd manage. The kids kept you busy. And when he came home, he'd bring flowers or a bottle of wine or some little souvenir from wherever he'd been. He'd hug you in the kitchen and tell you he missed you. He'd ask about your week. He'd seem genuinely interested in the small dramas of your days, the arguments Sarah had with her friend, the parent who yelled at the school board meeting, the new recipe you tried that didn't quite work out. You never suspected. Not once. Not even when the signs were probably there, invisible only because you weren't looking for them. The way he'd close his laptop quickly when you walked into the room. The new cologne he started wearing. The business trips that seemed to get longer, more frequent. The times you'd call his hotel room and he wouldn't answer. And later he'd say he was at dinner with clients, at a bar networking. Too tired and went to bed early without hearing the phone. The distance that crept in so slowly you didn't notice it was happening. You thought it was normal. Thought all marriages went through phases like this, times when the passion cooled, when life got in the way, when you were more like roommates than lovers. You'd read articles about keeping the spark alive. You'd tried planning date nights, buying lingerie, suggesting weekend getaways. Sometimes he'd engage. Sometimes he'd seem distracted. You told yourself it was work stress, midlife crisis, normal aging, nothing to worry about. Your friends envied you. They'd say things like, You two are so lucky, and I hope we make it as long as you have. And what's your secret? And you'd smile and say something about communication, about patience, about choosing to love each other every day. And you'd mean it. You'd believe it. Because from the outside, everything looked fine. Better than fine. Good. You had a beautiful home, healthy children, a husband who provided for you, who never yelled, who never drank too much or stayed out all night or did any of the obvious terrible things that ended other marriages. You had security, stability, respect in your community. What you didn't have, what you didn't even know you were missing, was truth. The party was Sarah's idea. Your 40th anniversary was coming up, and she insisted on throwing you a celebration. 40 years, Mom! That's incredible! We have to do something special. You'd resisted at first. It felt like too much fuss, too expensive, unnecessary, but she wouldn't let it go. Michael joined in. Even the grandkids got excited, drawing pictures and making plans. So you said yes. Let yourself get swept up in it. Helped choose the venue, a beautiful room with tall windows and chandeliers. Picked out your dress, something elegant but not too young, something that felt appropriate for a woman your age celebrating something meaningful. Made lists, sent invitations, watched the RSVPs come in. David seemed quieter than usual during the planning. You'd ask his opinion about flowers or menu options, and he'd say, "Whatever you think is best." You'd try to include him in decisions, and he'd defer to you. You thought he was just being thoughtful, letting you have what you wanted. Or maybe he was stressed about work again. Or maybe he just didn't care much about parties. You never thought he might be planning something too. The night before the party, you couldn't sleep. Not from anxiety exactly. More like anticipation. 40 years. 4 decades of building a life together. You lay in the dark next to David, listening to him breathe, thinking about how young you'd both been when you started this journey, thinking about how much had changed, thinking about how grateful you were, how lucky. You reached for his hand. He was already asleep, but he squeezed your fingers reflexively, the way he'd done 10,000 times before. You thought, asterisk, tomorrow is going to be perfect, asterisk. The party starts at 7. By 6:45, you're standing in front of the mirror doing last-minute adjustments, and you can feel the wrongness starting to creep in at the edges. Nothing obvious, just little things. The way David keeps checking his phone, the way he's pacing, the way he won't quite meet your eyes when you ask if he's okay. "I'm fine," he says. "Just want everything to go well." You believe him because believing is easier than doubting. Because doubt means asking questions you're not sure you want answered. The guests arrive in clusters. Family, first your sister with her husband, your brother from across the state, David's parents who are elderly now but insisted on coming, then friends, colleagues, people you've known for years, for decades. The room fills with voices and laughter and the warm hum of celebration. Everyone hugs you. Everyone says how wonderful you look. Everyone marvels at 40 years. How do you do it? They ask. What's the secret? They ask. You give your practiced answers. You smile. You accept their admiration like it's something you've earned, something real. The children arrive with their families. Michael's wife corrals their 3 kids while he comes to hug you. Sarah's husband hangs back, holding their baby, while Sarah throws her arms around you and whispers, "I'm so proud of you, Mom. You and Dad, you're the dream." The dream. You hold on to those words. Let them settle in your chest like a promise. Dinner is served. You sit at the head table with David, your children on either side. The food is beautiful, everything you chose, prepared perfectly. Champagne flows. Toasts begin. Michael goes first, talking about growing up watching you two, about learning what love looks like from your example. Sarah goes next, getting tearful, talking about how you taught her that marriage is work but it's worth it. You cry. Happy tears. Grateful tears. David holds your hand through all of it. His palm is sweating. You think it's emotion. You think he's moved by the words, by the moment, by 40 years of everything you've built together. You're still thinking that when he stands. The room quiets. This is it, the moment everyone's been waiting for. The husband's speech, the romantic declaration, the summary of 4 decades of love. He clears his throat, looks around the room. His face is calm, too calm. The calmness of someone who's rehearsed this, who knows exactly what's about to happen. "Thank you all for being here," he says. His voice is steady. "This is a special night, an important night, and there's something I need to say, something I need to do." You're smiling up at him, waiting. Your heart is full. "I've been living a lie," he says. The smile doesn't leave your face immediately. Your brain needs a second to process the words, to understand them, to recognize that they don't match the moment you thought you were in. "For the past 23 years," he continues, "I've been living 2 lives, and I can't do it anymore." 23 years. The number hits you like a physical blow. 23 years. You do the math automatically, helplessly. Sarah was 17. Michael was 20. You'd been married for 17 years when he... "This toast," he says, raising his glass, "is for my real wife." The room is frozen. You can see faces around you trying to understand, trying to decide if this is some kind of joke they're not getting. You're trying to decide the same thing. Because this can't be real. This can't be happening. Not here. Not now. Not after everything. The door opens. She walks in like she owns the moment, like she's been waiting in the wings for her cue. And maybe she has been. Maybe this was choreographed. Maybe they planned this together, the timing, the reveal, the maximum impact. She's beautiful. That's the first thing you notice. Not prettier than you were at her age necessarily, but beautiful in a way that feels deliberate, maintained. Her dress matches your color scheme. That detail stabs at you. Did she choose it? Or did he? Did they laugh about it? About the symmetry? About the performance? David's face transforms when he sees her. It's not a smile exactly. It's something deeper. Something that looks like relief, like freedom, like a man who's been holding his breath for 23 years and can finally exhale. She walks to him. He puts his arm around her. They fit together naturally, comfortably, like people who've been doing this for a long time. "This is Linda," he says to the room. "My wife." "Your wife." He says it so simply, like those words don't erase you, like they don't unmake everything you thought was real. "I'm sorry," he says. And now he's looking at you, and you can see he means it, which somehow makes it worse. "I know this is cruel. I know the timing is terrible. But I couldn't do another anniversary pretending. I couldn't celebrate a lie." You still haven't moved, haven't spoken. You're frozen in your chair at the head table, in your beautiful dress, surrounded by everyone you love, and you cannot make your body work, cannot make your mouth form words. Sarah is crying. You can hear her harsh, angry sobs. Michael is standing now, his face dark with fury, and he's saying something to David, but you can't hear the words over the roaring in your ears. Other people are moving too. Your sister is next to you, her hands on your shoulders. Someone is shouting. Someone is calling David names. Linda stands there next to him, and she looks what? Triumphant? Vindicated? Or just tired? Like this has been a long time coming and she's glad it's finally over? David is still talking. You catch fragments. Met. At a conference. Never meant for it to happen. Tried to end it but couldn't. She's been patient for so long. Deserved to be acknowledged. Tired of hiding. The words float around you like debris in a flood. You can't hold on to any of them. Can't make them mean something. Your brain is trying to protect you. Trying to make this not real. Trying to offer you any explanation other than the obvious one. This is a prank. A test. A nightmare. a psychotic break, anything but the truth. But it is the truth. You can see it in his face, in the way he's holding her, in the way everyone is looking at you with horror and pity. You've become the story people will tell at dinner parties. The cautionary tale. The poor woman who thought she had a good marriage while her husband built a whole other life. You try to stand. Your legs don't work right. You're shaking. You can feel eyes on you, so many eyes, watching, waiting to see what you'll do, how you'll react. If you'll scream or cry or attack them or faint. You do none of those things. You look at David, this man you've loved for 40 years, this stranger wearing his face, and you say, in a voice that doesn't sound like yours, "Get out. Margaret. Get out of my party. Both of you. Get out." He hesitates. Linda's hand is on his arm. She's whispering something to him. "Now," you say. The word comes out like broken glass. They leave. They actually leave. David leads Linda out of the room you rented, away from the party you planned, away from the life you built. And as they go, you can see it the way his hand sits at the small of her back, protective and familiar, the way they move together. 23 years. They've been together for 23 years. The door closes. The room erupts. Everyone is talking at once. Your children are next to you. Sarah is holding you. Michael is saying something about lawyers. Your sister is cursing. Other people are apologizing, like they're somehow responsible. Like their presence here makes them complicit. You stand in the middle of it all, and you understand. Your life just ended. Everything you thought you knew about your marriage, about your husband, about yourself, was a lie. For 23 years, you've been living in a story he wrote, playing a role he assigned you, believing in a love that was never fully yours. And the worst part, the part that makes bile rise in your throat, is that you never knew. You went about your days, making meals and raising children and planning anniversaries, and the whole time he was somewhere else, with someone else, building a whole other existence that had nothing to do with you. You weren't enough, weren't interesting enough, or beautiful enough, or something enough. Because if you had been, he wouldn't have needed her. He wouldn't have spent 23 years building a secret life. The party is over. People are leaving, filing out in uncomfortable silence, no longer sure if they should congratulate you or comfort you. Some hug you. Most just slip away, eager to escape the disaster this night became. Your children want to take you home. You let them. You sit in the back seat of Michael's car like a child, and you stare out the window at the passing lights, and you think, what else was a lie? What else don't you know? The house feels different when you walk through the door. It's the same house you left 4 hours ago. Same furniture, same walls, same photographs hanging in their frames, you and David on vacation, at graduations, holding grandchildren. But now it's all wrong. Now it's all evidence of the lie. You see him everywhere. His reading glasses on the end table, his jacket on the hook, his slippers by the bed, the way he arranged his books on the shelf, the coffee mug he used this morning, still sitting in the sink. Sarah wants to stay. Michael wants to stay. They're hovering, frightened, not sure what to do with your grief. I'm fine, you tell them. Go home. I need to be alone. They resist. They argue. But eventually they leave because you insist, because you need them to leave so you can fall apart without an audience. The second the door closes, you shatter. You don't cry at first. You scream. You scream until your throat is raw, until the sound becomes something animal and unrecognizable. You throw things, his coffee mug against the wall, his reading glasses across the room, the framed photo of your wedding day onto the floor where the glass breaks into pieces that look like stars. Then the crying comes. Deep, wrenching sobs that bend you double. You sink to the floor in the hallway and you cry for everything you lost, everything you never had, everything you thought was real. Hours pass. Maybe days. Time stops meaning anything. You find yourself going through the house like a detective, looking for evidence. You open drawers, search closets, check pockets. You find receipts that make no sense, dinners for two at times when he told you he was working late. Hotel charges in cities he never mentioned visiting. Credit card statements you've never seen before. You find a phone. Not his regular phone. A second phone. Hidden in the back of his sock drawer. Behind the winter clothes. You turn it on. The background is a photo of them, David and Linda, on a beach somewhere, both smiling, both tan, both looking at the camera like they don't have a care in the world. The messages make you sick. Years and years of messages. Miss you. Can't wait to see you. Love you. Thousands of tiny intimacies that belong to them, not you. You find pictures. So many pictures. Linda at Christmas, wearing an ugly sweater. Linda laughing at a restaurant. Linda in what must be their apartment, because of course they have an apartment. Of course there's a whole place you never knew about where he goes when he's not with you. You find cards she wrote him. Birthday cards, Valentine's cards, anniversary cards marking 23 years together. Which means she's been celebrating anniversaries with your husband the same way you have. Which means she knows what he looks like when he wakes up. What he sounds like when he laughs. What he wants when he's afraid or tired or happy. She knows him. Really knows him. Maybe better than you do, because she's gotten the real him, the unguarded him, the him who doesn't have to pretend. You were the lie. You were the performance. You were the obligation he came home to between visits to his real life. The sun comes up. You haven't slept. You're still sitting on the bedroom floor, surrounded by evidence, and you think, how do you recover from this? How do you come back from learning that half your life was fiction? Your phone rings. It's David. You stare at his name on the screen, David, the name you've been saying for 40 years, the name you taught your children to say, Daddy, Dad, the name that used to mean safety and home and love. You answer because you need answers. You need him to explain. You need him to make it make sense. Margaret. His voice is careful. We need to talk. Talk? The word tastes like poison. What's left to talk about? Please. Let me explain. Explain what? How you had a whole other wife for 23 years? How you built a whole other life? How you made me look like a fool in front of everyone I know? You're not a fool. Don't. Your voice breaks. Don't you dare tell me what I am. Silence on the line. Then, I never wanted to hurt you. The laugh that comes out of you is ugly. You never wanted to hurt me? Then what was tonight? What was bringing her to our anniversary party? What was announcing to the world that I'm not really your wife? You are my wife. Legally. But Margaret, I love her. Love. He says it so simply. Like it's an explanation. Like it makes everything okay. Then why? You ask, and you hate how small your voice sounds. Why stay with me? Why keep up the lie? If you love her so much, why didn't you just leave? I tried. Years ago. I tried. But we have kids. A life. I couldn't just destroy everything. And I thought maybe I could make it work. Both lives. I thought I could. You thought you could have everything. The anger is back now, burning through the grief. You thought you deserved both of us. Your real wife and your convenient wife. The one you loved, and the one who gave you children and respectability, and whatever else you needed me for. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, David? Tell me. Make me understand. He's quiet for a long time. Then, I was 27 when I met you. I thought I knew what I wanted, and I did want you, Margaret. I loved you. But then I met Linda and she understood me differently. She challenged me. She made me feel alive in ways I'd forgotten I could feel. So I bored you. No. You were safe, comfortable, but comfortable isn't enough for a lifetime. The words land like bullets. Each one finds a soft place and burrows in deep. I'm sorry, he says. I know that's not enough. I know I destroyed you tonight, but I couldn't keep living the lie. Linda deserves better, she's waited long enough. Linda deserves better. Not you, her. Where are you? You ask. At the apartment. Our apartment. Linda's and mine. Our apartment. He says it like it's normal. Like you should already know about it. I'll need to get my things from the house, he continues. My clothes. Some books. Can we arrange a time when you hang up? You sit in the silence of the house you shared with a man who never really belonged to you, the house you decorated, the house where you raised your children, the house that feels haunted now by all the moments that weren't real, all the kisses that didn't mean what you thought they meant, all the nights he lay next to you while his heart was somewhere else. The doorbell rings. For one insane second, you think it might be him, coming to apologize properly, to beg for forgiveness, to admit he made a terrible mistake. It's Sarah. She's holding a box of tissues and a bottle of wine, and she looks like she hasn't slept either. Mom, she says. And the way she says it breaks something else inside you. She comes in, holds you while you cry again, doesn't say anything. What is there to say? Your husband had another wife for 23 years. There are no words that fix that. Finally, when you can breathe again, she says, I hired you a lawyer. Mom, you need a lawyer. Dad's going to try to split everything and you need someone fighting for you. You nod. Can't think about lawyers yet. Can't think about divorce and asset division and the legal end of 40 years. There's something else, Sarah says, and her voice is strange now, tight. Something I need to tell you. You look at her. Really look at her. Her eyes are red, but there's something else there too. Something that looks like guilt. What? She takes a breath. I knew. The room tilts again. What? Not about Linda. Not exactly. But Mom, 2 years ago, I found text messages on Dad's phone. He'd left it at our house and it kept buzzing, and I looked and they were from someone named Elle. They were love messages, Mom. And I confronted him and he told me he said he was having an affair. He begged me not to tell you. He said it would destroy you. He promised he would end it. He said he was trying to figure out how to break it off without hurting everyone. You stare at your daughter, your beautiful daughter who you raised to tell the truth, to stand up for what's right, to never lie to the people you love. You knew, you say. For 2 years you knew, and you didn't tell me. Mom, you watched me plan this party. You helped me choose my dress. You gave a speech about how proud you are of us, of our marriage, and the whole time you knew. I didn't know about Linda. Sarah is crying now. I swear. I didn't know there was another wife. I thought it was just an affair. I thought he'd ended it. I thought, you thought what? That I was too weak to handle the truth? That I needed to be protected from my own life? I thought telling you would destroy you. And this? Your voice is rising now. This, tonight, in front of everyone, this destroyed me better? I'm sorry. Mom, I'm so sorry. I was trying to protect you. Get out. Mom, get out of my house. Both of you, you and your father, you both lied to me. You both decided I couldn't handle my own life. So get out. She leaves. She's sobbing. You hear her car start, drive away, and you're alone again. Alone in a house full of lies. Alone with the knowledge that not just your husband, but your daughter too, thought you were too fragile for the truth. You walk to the bathroom, look at yourself in the mirror. You look old. When did that happen? When did the lines around your eyes get so deep? When did your hair get so gray? When did you become this person who everyone thinks needs protecting? And then you see it. Really see it. The woman in the mirror isn't broken. She's angry. She's standing in the wreckage of 40 years and she's still standing. You think about David, about his careful voice on the phone, about how he had it all planned, the reveal, the speech, the timing, about how he thought he could just announce your irrelevance and walk away clean. You think about Linda, about how she walked into that room like she won something, like taking another woman's husband for 23 years was a victory. You think about Sarah, about her guilt and her tears and her desperate need to protect you from things she decided you couldn't handle. And you think, no, no more. You're done being the woman everyone lies to, done being the wife who didn't know, done being the mother who needs protecting, done being the person who gets to fall apart while everyone else decides what happens next. You pick up your phone. Call the lawyer Sarah hired. Leave a message saying you'll be there first thing tomorrow. Then you go to the closet. Start pulling out David's things, his clothes, his shoes, all of it. You carry it all downstairs, out to the driveway. You make a pile. You're not going to burn it. You're not that person. But you're going to put it all out on the lawn where he'll have to come get it, where the neighbors will see, where everyone will know he doesn't live here anymore. You work until dawn. And when you're done, when every trace of him is outside where it belongs, you walk back into your house. Not his house, not their house, your house, and you start planning your next move. The lawyer's office smells like leather and coffee and quiet power. Her name is Rachel. She's in her 50s, gray hair cut short, glasses perched on her nose. She doesn't smile when you walk in. Doesn't offer you sympathy or tissues or any of the soft things you're tired of getting from people who don't know what else to do with your pain. She offers you a seat, opens a file, says, "Tell me everything." So you do. You tell her about 40 years, about the party, about Linda, about the hidden phone in the apartment and the 23 years of lies, about Sarah's confession, about the house and the assets and everything you built together. Rachel takes notes, nods occasionally. When you're done, she looks at you over her glasses and says, "He's going to try to play this like he's the victim, like he was trapped, like you're the reason he had to lie. Men like him always do. Does he have any claim to? He has claims to everything, legally speaking. 40 years of marriage, that's community property in this state. But we're not going to let him walk away with half while you're left with nothing but humiliation. What can we do? We fight." She leans forward. "We make this expensive for him. We make this public. We make sure everyone knows what he did. And we make sure that when this is over, you're not just surviving, you're set. Something in your chest loosens. Not hope exactly, more like determination." "There's something else," Rachel says. "The fact that he brought her to your anniversary party, that he announced it the way he did, that shows intent to cause emotional distress. We can argue for damages beyond just standard divorce settlement." "You mean, sue him?" "I mean make him pay for what he did, not just financially. Though financially too." You nod. "Think about David and his careful planning, his choreographed reveal, the way he thought he could just rewrite the story, cast himself as the brave truth-teller, leave you behind as the boring wife who never understood him. Do it, you say. All of it. Make him pay." The next weeks become a blur of legal documents and discovery. Rachel's team is thorough. They find everything: bank accounts you didn't know about, credit cards in his name alone, expenses for the apartment he shared with Linda, vacations he took with her while telling you he was on business trips. Years and years of financial infidelity to go along with the emotional kind. They find something else too. Linda isn't some innocent mistress who fell in love with a married man. She knew. From the beginning, she knew. She knew he had a wife. Knew he had children. Knew about you. About your life. About everything. And she chose it anyway. Chose to be the other woman for 23 years. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is the money. David's been supporting her. Not just emotionally. Financially. For 23 years, he's been paying her rent, her car payments, her credit cards. He bought her a business, a little boutique she runs in the city. He's been funding her entire life while telling you money was tight, while saying you couldn't afford vacations, while making you feel guilty for wanting to go back to school. You gave up your dreams because he said you couldn't afford them, and the whole time, he was building someone else's dreams with money that should have been yours too. Rachel shows you the numbers. Hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. Maybe millions, depending on how you count it. This is financial fraud, she says. He used marital assets to fund an affair. That's grounds for him to receive less in the settlement. Maybe a lot less. You stare at the numbers. Think about all the times you worried about money. About the times you made do. Made sacrifices. Made it work because that's what you did in marriage. While he was spending freely on someone else. David calls. You don't answer. He calls again. And again. Finally sends a text. Please, can we talk like adults? You respond. Talk to my lawyer. He does. His lawyer calls Rachel. Suggests mediation. Suggests an amicable split. Suggests that they can make this easy for everyone if you're just reasonable. Reasonable, Rachel says to you after the call. He wants you to be reasonable. After 23 years of lies, he wants you to be nice about the divorce. What did you tell him? I told him we'll see him in court. The court date is set, 3 months away. In the meantime, your life becomes a strange new thing. You're still in the house. David's living full-time at the apartment with Linda. Your children are caught in the middle, angry at their father. Worried about you, trying to process the fact that their family was never what they thought it was. Michael stops speaking to David completely. Won't return his calls. Won't see him. The grandchildren don't understand why they can't see Grandpa anymore. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that Grandpa has been lying to everyone for longer than they've been alive? Sarah is struggling differently. She keeps apologizing, keeps trying to make up for not telling you. You're still angry with her, but you understand too. She was trapped in an impossible position. She made the wrong choice, but she made it from love. You forgive her. Eventually. Not right away. But slowly. Over dinners where she comes to check on you. Over phone calls where she just listens. Over the small ways she shows up when you need her. The neighborhood knows. Of course they know. You put David's things on the lawn. You filed for divorce. You stopped wearing your wedding ring. They whisper. They stare. Some avoid you. Some come by with casseroles and sympathy you don't want. One day, Martha from 3 doors down knocks. You almost don't answer. But she's persistent. I'm not here to pity you, she says when you open the door. I'm here to tell you I saw them, 5 years ago, at a restaurant downtown. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to believe it. I told myself I must have been mistaken. But I wasn't, was I? You shake your head. I'm sorry, she says. I should have told you. I'll regret that for the rest of my life. She's not the only one. Over the coming weeks, 3 other people tell you they saw David with Linda at various times, in various places. They all say the same thing. They didn't tell you because they weren't sure, because they didn't want to be wrong, because they didn't want to blow up your marriage over what might have been nothing. So many people knew, or suspected, or saw things that didn't add up. And you never had a clue. That's what haunts you. Not that he lied, but that you never saw it, never felt it, never had even a moment of suspicion that made you look closer, ask questions, demand truth. Were you that oblivious? That trusting? That stupid? Rachel says no when you voice these thoughts during a meeting. You weren't stupid. You were married. You thought you were in a partnership built on trust. The failure here is his, not yours. But it's hard to believe that. Hard not to feel like you should have known, should have seen the signs that everyone else apparently saw. Discovery continues. David's lawyer pushes back on everything, claims the money he spent on Linda was his to spend, claims he earned it, so he can do what he wants with it, claims you're being vindictive by dragging this through court. Rachel gets angrier each time. He doesn't get to gaslight you through lawyers, she says. We're not backing down. You learn things about David you never knew. His lawyer tries to paint him as a good man trapped in a loveless marriage. tries to suggest that you were cold, distant, that you drove him into another woman's arms. It makes you furious. It makes you doubt yourself, both at once. Were you cold? You don't think so. But maybe you were and didn't know it. Maybe the woman you thought you were warm, loving, devoted wasn't who you actually were. Maybe you were boring and David just never told you until he found someone who wasn't. Stop, Rachel says when you voice this. This is what they do. They make the victim question herself. You were a good wife. You were a present partner. You don't become a bad spouse just because the person you're married to decides to blow up your life. You try to believe her. Some days you succeed. Other days you spiral, going through memories like crime scenes, looking for evidence of your own inadequacy. Then something happens that changes everything. You're going through more of David's things, boxes he left behind, stuff from the garage. You find an old journal, his journal, from 25 years ago. You shouldn't read it. You know you shouldn't. But you do anyway. The entries are mundane at first. Work, stress, thoughts about the kids. Then you find the entry from the day he met Linda. Met someone today who made me remember what it feels like to want something I shouldn't have. Couldn't stop thinking about her during my presentation. Margaret asked about my day when I got home, and I lied without even thinking about it. How easy it was to lie. That scares me. Should stop now, before anything starts. But I don't think I'm going to. You read it 3 times. He knew. From day one, he knew what he was choosing. He wasn't swept away. He wasn't confused. He made a choice, with full awareness, to betray you. There are more entries. Over months, then years. Some are guilty, some are justifications. Some are him convincing himself that he can have both, that you'll never find out, that it's not really hurting anyone if you don't know. Margaret's happier when I'm around more, one entry says. Which is ironic, since I'm only able to be around more because I have Linda to go to when being the husband and father gets too suffocating. Maybe this arrangement is actually good for everyone. You close the journal. Put it back in the box. Call Rachel. I found evidence, you say. His journal. He wrote about the affair from the beginning, about choosing to do it, about lying. All of it. That's good, Rachel says. That's very good. We can use that. The journal becomes Exhibit A. David's lawyer tries to get it thrown out, claims it's private thoughts, inadmissible. But the judge allows it. Says David left it in the marital home, so it's fair game. You can see David's face when the judge rules on it. The panic, the recognition that his own words are about to undo him. The depositions are brutal. You have to sit there and listen to David and Linda talk about their relationship, about how it started, about the trips they took, about the future they'd been planning. Linda talks about those 23 years like they were romantic, like she was the patient woman waiting for her man to be free. She doesn't seem to grasp that she was complicit in destroying your life. Or maybe she just doesn't care. When it's your turn, you tell the truth. All of it. The loneliness you didn't even know you felt because you thought David was there. The dreams you gave up because he said money was tight. The nights you lay awake wondering if you were good enough, interesting enough, if the distance you felt was normal, or if you were failing somehow. David won't look at you while you talk. He stares at his hands, and you realize he's ashamed. Not of what he did, but of getting caught, of having to face it. After your deposition, Rachel says, you were perfect, honest, sympathetic. The judge is going to see through his bullshit. You hope she's right, but you're tired, so tired. This fight is taking everything out of you. Then, David's lawyer makes a mistake. During another meeting, he tries to argue that David deserves credit for supporting you for 40 years. Says you should be grateful for the life he gave you. Grateful? Rachel's voice could cut glass. Your client stole 23 years from my client. He lied every day. He used marital assets to support a mistress. And you think she should be grateful? He provided. He provided the bare minimum while living a secret life. That's not generosity. That's cruelty. The lawyer backs down. But the damage is done. Now the judge has heard them argue that you should be grateful for being lied to. Rachel files an amendment to the case, adds intentional infliction of emotional distress, asks for punitive damages. David's lawyer calls to settle, offers you 60% of assets, tries to frame it as generous. Rachel laughs. We want 80, and full accounting of every penny he spent on Linda, and he pays her legal fees, and he makes a public statement acknowledging what he did. He'll never agree to that. Then we'll see him in court. They agree to 75%. No public statement. But full accounting and your legal fees paid. It's not enough. No amount of money can give you back 23 years, can undo the humiliation, can erase the trauma of that anniversary party. But it's something. It's acknowledgement that what he did was wrong. It's proof that actions have consequences. You sign the papers. So does David. Your marriage is officially over. 40 years. Over. Done. Finished. You're 63 years old and starting over. The final court date arrives on a Tuesday. It's not dramatic, not like television, just a judge reading through the settlement agreement, asking if you both understand, declaring the divorce final. 10 minutes. 40 years reduced to 10 minutes of legal language. You wear black. David wears a suit you've never seen before. Linda probably bought it for him. She's not there. She's not allowed to be. This is between you and David, and the wreckage you're dividing up. When it's over, you walk out of the courthouse and the sun is shining. That feels wrong somehow. Like the world should be gray and cold to match what just happened. But no, it's a beautiful day. Birds are singing. People are walking past, going about their lives, completely unaware that yours just legally ended. David tries to talk to you in the parking lot. Margaret. No, you say. We're done. We have nothing to say to each other. I just want you to know I never wanted it to end like this. You turn to look at him. Really look at him. This man you were married to for 40 years, this stranger. How did you want it to end, you ask? You brought another woman to our anniversary party and announced she was your real wife. What exactly was the good version of that? He doesn't have an answer. Or if he does, you don't wait to hear it. You get in your car, drive away. Leave him standing there. The house is empty when you get home. Empty in a way it hasn't been in decades. No sounds of David moving around, no one to cook for but yourself, no one to talk to about your day. Just you. You should feel lonely. Probably. But instead you feel clean. Like something toxic has been removed. Like you can finally breathe all the way. That night, Sarah comes over. She brings Michael. They bring takeout and wine and they sit with you in the living room and you toast to the divorce being final. I'm proud of you, Mom, Michael says. I know that doesn't make it better. But you fought. You didn't just let him walk away. 75%, Sarah says. That's huge. You nod. The money helps. It means security. It means you won't have to worry about your future. At least not financially. But it doesn't heal the wound. Doesn't erase the betrayal. What are you going to do now? Michael asks. You don't have an answer. Haven't let yourself think that far ahead. You've been so focused on surviving, on fighting, on getting through each day. The idea of a future feels abstract. I don't know, you admit. Figure it out as I go, I guess. Sarah puts her hand over yours. Whatever you do, we're here. They leave around 10. You sit in the quiet house and think about David's question. What are you going to do now? You're 63. You have money. You have your health. You have children who love you. You have a whole life ahead of you. Maybe 20 more years. Maybe 30. Maybe more. But what do you want that life to look like? You realize you don't know. For 40 years, your life was defined by being David's wife, by being a mother, by playing roles other people needed you to play. You never stopped to think about what you wanted, who you were separate from those roles. Who is Margaret without David? Without children to raise? Without a marriage to maintain? You don't have an answer. But for the first time, you're curious to find out. The next day, you do something you haven't done in 40 years. You make a list of things you want to do, not things you should do, not things that would make you a better wife or mother, things you actually want. The list starts small. 1. Learn to paint. R. Travel somewhere I've never been. 3. Go back to school. 4. Write something, a memoir, maybe. 5. Learn a new language. 6. Join a book club. 7. Take a cooking class. The list grows, becomes pages, becomes dreams you'd forgotten you had. You put the list on your refrigerator, look at it every morning. And slowly, you start checking things off. You sign up for an art class. Tuesday nights. You're terrible at first. Your paintings look like something a child would do. But the teacher is kind and the other students don't judge, and there's something freeing about creating something without worrying if it's good enough. You book a trip to Italy. You've always wanted to go. David always said it was too expensive, too far, maybe later. You leave in the spring, travel alone, see Rome and Florence and Venice. Stand in front of paintings that have existed for centuries and think about how small your problems are in the grand scheme of things. You apply to community college. Start taking classes. Literature. Psychology. Things that interest you, things that have nothing to do with being useful or practical, just things that make you curious. You start writing, not well at first, but you write about your life, about the marriage, about what it felt like to discover everything was a lie. You write about anger and grief, and slowly, eventually, about healing. You make new friends, people who don't know your history, people who meet you as Margaret, not as David's ex-wife, people who like you for who you are now, not who you used to be. Months pass. The seasons change. The pain doesn't disappear, but it becomes something you can carry, something that's part of your story but doesn't define your whole existence. You hear through Michael that David married Linda. Officially, legally. She's his only wife now. You thought hearing that would hurt, but it doesn't. Or it does, but in a distant way, like a bruise that's almost healed. Tender but not debilitating. You hear that their relationship is struggling, that the reality of being together, full-time, publicly, legally, isn't as romantic as 23 years of secret meetings. That Linda expected something different, that David is discovering the woman he thought he knew wasn't quite who she becomes when she's not the forbidden fruit. You don't feel vindicated exactly, but you don't feel sorry for them either. 1 year after the divorce, you throw yourself a party. Not a big one. Just Sarah and Michael and their families. A few close friends. Rachel, your lawyer, who's become a friend too. You stand in your living room, not David's, and you make a toast. To surviving, you say. To fighting. To learning that the end of one story can be the beginning of another. Everyone drinks. Sarah's crying. Michael's smiling. Your grandchildren are running around, oblivious to the significance of the moment. And you realize you're happy. Not the uncomplicated happiness of ignorance. Not the happiness of someone who's never been hurt, but the hard-won happiness of someone who got knocked down and chose to stand back up, who looked at the wreckage and decided to build something new from the pieces. You're 64 years old. You're single. You're starting over. And you're going to be okay. 2 years after the divorce, you're someone different. Not better, exactly. Not healed in the way people think healing should look, linear and complete, but different. Stronger in some ways, softer in others. More yourself than you've been in decades. You've sold the house. The big suburban house with all its memories, all its ghosts. You bought a small apartment downtown, modern, minimal. Nothing in it that reminds you of David or the life you had with him. Clean slate, fresh start. Your apartment has an art studio, just a corner, really, but it's yours. You paint there most mornings before class. You're still not good, but you're getting better. More importantly, you enjoy it. The feel of the brush, the mixing of colors, the way time disappears when you're focused on the canvas. Your paintings are strange and abstract. They don't look like anything in particular, but they feel like something. Like externalized emotion. Like grief and anger and hope made visible. You sold one once. A small piece. Someone at the community center art show bought it for $50. You were more shocked than proud. But also proud. Someone saw something you made and wanted it. Wanted to live with it. School is harder. You're taking actual college courses now, working toward a degree in psychology. At 65, you're the oldest student in most of your classes. Sometimes professors assume you're auditing. Sometimes younger students are surprised when you contribute to discussions, like they didn't expect you to have thoughts worth sharing. But you love it. Love learning. Love the discussions. Love feeling your brain expand after years of letting it atrophy, doing laundry and meal planning and all the domestic tasks that filled your days. You've made friends. Real friends. Not the acquaintance friends from the old neighborhood who disappeared when your marriage ended, but actual friends who know your story and like you anyway. There's Patricia, who's in your art class. She's 72, been divorced twice, has no patience for self-pity or bullshit. She makes you laugh, makes you think, makes you feel like there's still adventure ahead. There's James, from your psychology class. He's 40, went back to school after his career in finance made him miserable. He treats you like an equal, asks your opinion, studies with you at coffee shops where you argue about Freud and Jung and whether anyone can ever truly change. There's the book club you joined. 8 women, all different ages and backgrounds, who meet monthly to discuss novels and drink wine and talk about life. They know about David. They listened when you needed to vent. And then they gently but firmly told you it was time to stop letting him take up space in your head. You're still working on that part. Some days are easy. You go hours without thinking about him. About what happened. About the 23 years of lies. You focus on your life now, on classes and painting, and the small joys that add up to something meaningful. Other days are hard. You'll see a couple your age, holding hands, clearly still in love after decades, and you'll feel the loss like a punch to the gut. You'll wonder if you'll ever trust anyone again. If you'll ever want to. Dating feels impossible. A few friends have tried to set you up. Well-meaning suggestions about men they know, divorced or widowed, good men who might be right for you. You always say no. Can't imagine opening yourself up like that again. Can't imagine being that vulnerable. But you're not lonely. Not exactly. Or maybe you are, but it's a loneliness you've learned to sit with. A loneliness that feels preferable to being with someone and still feeling alone. Sarah comes by often. You've rebuilt your relationship, though it took time. She apologized for keeping David's affair secret. You forgave her. But it changed things between you. Made you see her as a person who makes mistakes, not just your daughter. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's growth. Michael brings the grandkids. They're growing so fast, they barely remember Grandpa David now. They know you got divorced, but in the way kids know things, adults tell them factual but not emotional. They're not damaged by it. That's something to be grateful for. You never see David. He lives across town with Linda. You hear updates sometimes, through the children. He's semi-retired. They travel. She still has her boutique. They seem fine. Not happy exactly, but stable. You don't wish him ill. That surprises you. You thought you'd carry that anger forever. But somewhere along the way, it transformed into something else. Not forgiveness. You're not there yet. Maybe you never will be, but indifference, maybe. Or acceptance. The understanding that what he did was about him, not about your worth. Therapy helped with that. You started going 6 months after the divorce. Dr. Chen. She's helped you untangle the mess of emotions, the shame and anger and grief. Helped you see that you weren't stupid for not knowing. That gaslighting works precisely because it makes you doubt your own reality. You trusted your husband, Dr. Chen said once. That's not a character flaw. That's what you're supposed to do in a marriage. The failure was his, not yours. You're starting to believe that. One afternoon, you're at a coffee shop studying when someone sits down across from you. You look up, ready to say the table is taken, and stop. It's Martha. From the old neighborhood. The one who saw David and Linda 5 years ago and didn't tell you. I hope this is okay, she says. I saw you through the window and I've been wanting to talk to you. You should be angry. Part of you still is, but mostly you're just tired. Okay, you say. She sits, orders a coffee, doesn't speak for a while, then, I'm getting divorced. You wait. Found out my husband was having an affair, has been for 3 years, and I thought about you, about how I knew about David and didn't tell you, and how now someone knew about my husband and didn't tell me, and I realized we do this to each other. We see things and we stay silent because we don't want to be the one who ruins someone's life. But we're not ruining it. The person lying is ruining it. We're just exposing it. I'm sorry, you say. And you mean it. I should have told you, Martha says. I knew. I saw them. And I told myself it wasn't my business. But it was. It should have been. Because we're supposed to protect each other, women. We're supposed to tell the truth even when it's hard. She's crying now. Quiet tears that she wipes away quickly. I forgive you, you say. And you realize you do. You forgive all of them, the neighbors and friends who saw glimpses and stayed silent. They were trying to protect you in their own misguided way. They were wrong. But they weren't malicious. Thank you, Martha says. I don't deserve it. None of us deserve most things, you say. Good or bad. We just get them anyway. You end up talking for an hour. About divorce. About betrayal. About the strange process of rebuilding a life after it's been demolished. When she leaves, she hugs you. And you hug her back. That night, you think about forgiveness. About how it's not one big decision but 1,000 small ones. How you have to choose it over and over. How some days you fail at it and that's okay too. You think about David. About whether you'll ever forgive him. You're not sure. Maybe the answer is that you don't have to. Maybe forgiveness is for when someone asks for it, means it, earns it, and David has never really apologized. He's sorry he got caught, sorry it was messy, but sorry for what he did? You don't think so. And that's okay. You can move on without forgiving him. You can build a new life without releasing him from the weight of what he did. 3 years after the divorce, you graduate. Your bachelor's degree in psychology. You're 66 years old, wearing a cap and gown, walking across a stage to receive a diploma. Sarah and Michael are in the audience, cheering louder than anyone. Your grandchildren hold signs they made. We're proud of Grandma. You cry. Happy tears this time. Tears of accomplishment. Tears of proof that it's never too late to become who you might have been. After the ceremony, Michael hugs you and says Dad called, wanted to congratulate you. You don't know how he found out. Don't care. What did you tell him? I told him to go to hell. You smile. You didn't have to do that. I know. But I wanted to. You look at your children. At the families they've built. At the grandchildren who will grow up knowing that sometimes people fail you. But that doesn't mean love isn't real. It just means you have to be careful where you place it. I'm proud of you, Sarah says. Not just for this, for everything, for surviving, for rebuilding, for showing us that life doesn't end at 63. Life doesn't end until it ends, you say. And I'm not done yet. That night, alone in your apartment, you sit at your desk and open your journal. You've been keeping one since the divorce, writing your story, processing your pain. You write, "Today I graduated. Today I proved that I'm more than what happened to me. Today I chose myself again." You close the journal. Look around your small apartment, at your art on the walls, at your books stacked on the shelves, at the life you've built that's entirely, completely yours. And you think, I'm 66 years old, I'm single, I'm starting over, and I'm going to be more than okay. 5 years after that night at the anniversary party, you're sitting in a coffee shop when you see them. David and Linda. They don't see you. They're at a corner table, both looking at their phones, not speaking to each other. There's a distance between them that's familiar. The same distance that was probably between you and David in those last years, though you didn't recognize it then. Linda looks older, tired. Her makeup is still perfect, but there's something brittle about her, something that looks like regret, though maybe you're just projecting. David looks smaller somehow. His hair is completely white now, his shoulders are slightly hunched. He's not the confident man who stood up at your anniversary party and announced you weren't his real wife. He's just an old man at a coffee shop, looking at his phone, sitting next to a woman who looks as lonely as he does. You could leave. Should leave, probably. But you find yourself walking over. They look up when your shadow falls across their table. Linda's face goes pale. David's eyes widen. "Margaret," he says. "David." You look at Linda. Linda. She can't meet your eyes. "I'll let you." Linda starts to stand. "Stay," you say. "This won't take long." They're both frozen, waiting for you to scream or cry or make a scene. You're not going to give them that. "I wanted to tell you both something," you say. Your voice is calm, steady. "For years I let what you did define me. I let it make me question everything about myself, whether I was good enough, interesting enough, worthy enough. I let you both steal my peace." David opens his mouth. You hold up a hand. "But I'm done with that. I'm done letting you take up space in my head. I'm done being the woman you betrayed. I'm just Margaret now, and I'm happy." "Margaret," David tries again. "I don't forgive you," you continue. "I don't know if I ever will. But I don't hate you either. I just nothing you. You're just people who hurt me once. And I survived it. I'm surviving it. I'm doing more than surviving." You look at Linda. "I used to be so angry at you. Used to think about all the ways you ruined my life. But you know what? You didn't ruin it. You changed it. And I think I needed it changed. I think I was living half a life and didn't even know it." Linda's crying now. Silent tears running down her careful makeup. "I hope you're happy." You say to them both, "I mean that. I hope whatever you have together is worth what it cost. I hope you look at each other and think, yes, this was worth destroying someone else's life for." "We never meant," Linda starts. "You never meant to get caught," you say. "That's different from never meaning to hurt someone." You turn to leave. Then stop. Turn back. "One more thing." "Thank you." David looks stunned. "For what?" "For showing me that I'm strong enough to rebuild. That I'm more than just someone's wife. That I can start over at 63 and not just survive but thrive. You thought you were destroying me that night. But you freed me." You leave them sitting there. Walk out of the coffee shop into the bright afternoon, and you feel light. Like you've put down something heavy you didn't know you were still carrying. You walk to your car, drive to class. It's your first week teaching Introduction to Psychology at the community college. You finished your master's degree last year. They offered you a teaching position. You said yes. Your students are waiting when you arrive. Young faces, eager and nervous. You smile at them. "Welcome," you say. "I'm Professor Margaret, and this is Psychology 101. In this class, we're going to talk about human behavior, about why people do the things they do, about trauma and resilience and the incredible capacity we all have to heal. You begin the lecture, talk about neuroplasticity, about how the brain can change, can rewire itself, can learn new patterns even late in life, about how we're not doomed to be forever damaged by what happens to us. The human mind is remarkably adaptive, you say. We can survive almost anything. And not just survive, we can grow. We can become different people, better people, stronger people. A student raises their hand. But what if the trauma is too big? What if you can't get past it? You pause. Think about the answer. Think about your own journey. You don't get past it. You say, not really. You get through it. You integrate it. It becomes part of your story, but it doesn't have to be the whole story. You get to write the chapters that come next. After class, you gather your things, drive home. Your apartment is quiet but not lonely. You've learned the difference. You make dinner, simple pasta, glass of wine. You eat on your small balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. Your phone rings. It's Patricia, from art class. Still coming to life drawing tomorrow? She asks. Wouldn't miss it. Good. Bring wine. And I want to hear about that man from the bookstore. James says you've been making eyes at each other. You laugh. James talks too much. So there is something. There's nothing. Maybe. I don't know. Well, figure it out. Life's too short to waste time wondering. You hang up. Think about the man from the bookstore. Richard. He's your age. Widowed 5 years ago. Kind eyes. Gentle voice. He asked you to coffee last week. You said maybe. Maybe it's time to say yes. Maybe it's time to risk again. Or maybe not. Maybe you're fine alone. Either way is okay. Either way, you're choosing. And that's what matters. That night, you sit at your desk, open your laptop. You've been writing your story not for publication, just for yourself. Processing, understanding, claiming your own narrative. You write, there's a moment in every betrayal where you have a choice. You can let it break you, or you can let it remake you. I chose to be remade. I'm 68 now. I have a career I love, friends who see me, children who respect me, a life that's entirely mine. David took 23 years from me, but I took the rest back, and the rest is going to be beautiful. You close the laptop, look around your apartment, at the life you built from nothing, at the woman you became after everything fell apart, and you think, thank you, David. Thank you for breaking me, because I learned I could put myself back together. And the woman who emerged from that wreckage is someone I actually like, someone I'm proud to be, someone who knows her own worth, someone who doesn't need anyone else to feel complete, someone free. If you're watching this, and you've ever felt the ground shift beneath you, if you've ever discovered that everything you thought was real was built on lies, I want you to know something. You are not alone. Betrayal doesn't just hurt in the moment it's revealed. It echoes backward through time, making you question every memory, every moment, every word that was spoken. It makes you doubt yourself in ways that feel impossible to recover from. But you can recover. Not quickly, not easily, but completely. The woman whose story you just heard, she's real. Her pain is real, but so is her strength. So is her recovery. So is her new life. And if she can do it, so can you. If you're in the middle of betrayal right now, if you're standing in the wreckage wondering how you'll survive, you will. You will survive this. You will build something new. You will be okay. If you wonder why people stay silent when they see betrayal, remember, silence isn't always weakness. Sometimes it's survival. Sometimes it's not knowing what to do. Sometimes it's hoping you're wrong because the alternative is too painful. But when one voice finally speaks, when one person finally tells the truth, the world has to listen. This story matters because every person who's been betrayed needs to know they're not crazy, they're not weak, they're not stupid for trusting. They're human beings who loved someone who didn't love them back honestly. And that's not their failing. It's the other person's. Subscribe to this channel for more stories that remind the world why truth still matters. Stories about people who survived the unsurvivable. Stories about betrayal and recovery. Stories about finding yourself after you thought you'd lost everything. Because these stories need to be told. These voices need to be heard. And if even one person watches this and realizes they're not alone, that they can survive, that they can build something beautiful from the ashes, then every word was worth it. Your story doesn't end when someone betrays you. It begins again. And the chapters you write next? Those are all yours.